Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. In this video I will be discussing about inheritance, which is another important pillars for OOPS or object-oriented programming language concept. So in this video I will be discussing first about what is inheritance, how can we inherit from base class into child class, and then I will be discussing about two types of inheritance, only single and multiple inheritance. And also later we will be discussing about in this video overriding methods and derived classes. And also we will be calling how to call a parent class function or method inside child class. So these are the topics that we will be discussing in this video. So let's get started with what is inheritance. We know that inheritance allows us to create a new class, and this new class will be called as a child class based on existing class. An existing class will be parent class. So there exists a class, we call it as a parent. We are creating a new class and call it as a child. So this, if we create a new class based on existing class and inherit the code of parent class or the methods or attributes of parent class, this is nothing but inheritance. So usually we know that when we are creating a new class or child class, it will inherit all the properties and methods of the parent class. So usually for parent class, we can call also as a base class. For child class, we can call as a new class, we can call as a derived class, we can call as a child class, and parent class can be as a base class or parent class or existing class. So let me explain this one with giving a good example. We know that when we are using inheritance, it will cause us to reuse the code. Means we are writing code once and using it multiple times. So for this one, let me give an example of human class. For example, we will say I have a class called human, and this human class, we know that it has a constructor in it. We know that every human will have the following attributes. Every human has a name, every human being has an age, so every human being has a mobile number, address, but we will be using only name and age. And then I will say self dot name equals to name, and then self dot age equals to age. Means whenever we want to create an object of this class, so usually we have to give a name and age. Later we know that every human being has another attribute called sleep. Another method called sleep. So we will call it print. We know that whenever we are giving an instance method, so we have to give an attribute also. If this is self, it is better. Self is not a keyword, means that if you write s also it will work. There is no issue with that. But if you write self, it is better. It is recommended to write self. So I will say just like this, self.name, and then I will say sleeps well. So this is my class called human. It has a name attribute, an age attribute, and has one method called sleep. So I want to write a new class. For example, I want to write a student class. When I'm going to analyze a student class, I'm knowing that when I want to write a student class like this class student, so whenever I'm going to write for it the attributes, so the first attribute that will be need is self. The second one, see, I'll say I need a name for a student, I need age for a student, and a student is also sleeping. So this code that I have written here, it is also required for a class called a student. So it is better to do not write this one but use it, means reuse this code. So now if I write a student class again without using inheritance, I have to write all of them again. But what I will do, I will write a student class and I will inherit all the code from the above class. So now let's discuss. We know that human is existing class or parent class. A student we want to introduce is the child class of human. We know that in the real world, if a person wants to inherit something from his parents, their DNA must match. So he must be or she must be a real child of them. And then what will be in the programming? So how can we say that a student is a child of human, or how it is possible that we say a student can be a child of human or not? So for this one, we have a question called is a. If this question is going to be logical, then we can introduce the student as a child of human. If this is not logical, then it is impossible. So we will say a student is a human. So Yeah, it is logical because every student is a human. So now we can formally introduce student as a child of human. Why we want to introduce them? Because we want to reuse this code. Because every student has a name and we do not want to write code here because it's already written here and we want to just use them. So now this is called single inheritance. How can we do it? For single inheritance, we have to write a keyword class and then draft class or child class. Our child class is a student, and then base class or parent class. What is our parent class? Human. Just I have to write the name human here. Whenever I'm writing human here, it looks like I have just copy pasted all code inside my student class. So this is how we will use it. And we know that our student class may have some extra method also. For example, study. We will say self, and then I will come here and say print. I will just say self dot name studies. Well, so let me use it formatted string so that it should not print self.name, it should print the value of self. And let me run the code above and below. And now see, student is a child of human. So now if I want to create an object for a student class, so I will say student number one is nothing but I will say student. See, we know that in here we do not have any constructor, we do not have attribute, but since it is using the code of human, we can give a name and age for each student. For example, this student name is Ali and age is 18. Now if I run the code, yeah, this object is created. Now I can call it, I will say s1 dot sleep. So see, sleep method is not written inside the student, it's written inside human class. But since the student is inheriting all the codes, so that's why it will be working. See, Ali sleeps well. Ali sleeps well. So this code is not written in Sudan, but it's just nothing but it is something that it has inherited from the parent class. So this is called actually inheritance. When we are saying an inheritance, we are reusing the code. Means that once we are writing here the code and without writing them inside the student class, just by writing parent name here, we are reusing the above code. So now let's discuss about before going to discuss about multiple inheritance, let me discuss about overriding method and draft class. What do you mean by overriding method and draft class? See, here we are inheriting sleep, and we are inheriting name and age inside the student. But what a student is doing, student want to override this one, or a student want to have a method of sleep for himself. So he will write sleep and now self. Why does he want to do like this? See, we have a sleep method here inside parent class, and child also want to have its own sleep method. So that's this method will override the above method. So why he wants to he want to just print like this. For example, his parents will sleep. For example, sleeps well at night. So if, but see, he does not want to sleep at night. He wants to sleep only at the day. So he wants to bring some change in the sleep. So that's why whenever he is inheriting something and he wants to bring some change on that, this is called overriding. So that's why he will say he will just I want to copy paste the code from here. He will say he sleeps at day. Now this the thing that I did just now is called method overriding. Why? Because we have one sleep for child class, one sleep for parent class, and the child class sleep has overridden the parent class sleep. Now if I run this one, see, Ali sleeps well at day, although the code which was written in the parent class was at night, but this method has overridden the above method. This is nothing but method overriding. What is method overriding? When we have a method inside our parent class and we want to bring some change at that method in the child class. So this action is called method overriding. And it usually happens in inheritance. And the second thing is calling base class method and draft class. See, sometimes, for example, I want to call, I do not want to call for example, now see, when I'm running s1.sleep, since this is object of child class, it will call the sleep of the child class. It will call this sleep. So we have two methods called sleep. One this one and one this one. So if I want to call the method of parent class, so see, I just want to call I don't I want to call inside this one, I want to call the sleep of parent class. If I just write like this sleep, so what will happen, so the program will be confused. So since we have one sleep method here and one sleep method here, so if I want to just call the sleep method of parent class, I have to use super keyword. If I want to use super keyword, what does it mean? It means that now I am calling this method, not this method. So this is how we are calling the method of parent class inside method of child class. And the last topic that I will be discussing here is nothing but multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance, it's something that is allowed in Python. Means if we have one child class, it can have multiple parent classes. So it is something that's allowed in Python. So that's why we will be using it. So here, one child class can inherit the properties and attributes of multiple parent class. So let's give an example for this one and how we will use this syntax. It is syntaxes. We will write the name of child class and we will write the name of first parent, second parent, third parent, till end parent. So we will give an example. For example, we have class parent 1. So inside class parent 1, for example, it has a good method of driving. He knows how to drive. So just it's just for giving an example, guys. So we will say parent. I will say, for example, we will say as drives well. And then if we have multiple class like this, we have class parent 2. Here's the parent number 2. For example, he is cooking good. He is good in cooking. So we will say cooks well. And we will have the parent class 3. So for example, he's teaching. He's a lecturer and he's teaching well. So we will say he or she teaches well. See, now I have one parent class, 2 and 3, and I have another child class. Inside, for example, inside this child class, I want to reuse all this code. So in Java programming language, this is not allowed. Since in Java we have single inheritance, one child can have only one parent. But inside Python, it's allowed. Inside Python, you can have any number of like parent classes that's required for that one. So how it will be done? We will write parent 1, parent 2, and parent 3. So what does it mean? It means that I am using the code of this one, the code of this one, and the code of this one. So see if this person has a good cars, this person is a cooking very well, and he is teaching very well. I want to inherit all this code. So that's why when I writing child, P1, P2, and P3 means that any object of this class will be able to use the code for this class, from this class, and from this class. And it thinks the child has also a method of like sleeping for himself. And then we will say that parent, I will say child is sleeping. So this is a method the child has from himself. Now, if I want to give an example or create an object for child class, I would say object of child class. I will say that we know that child. Now, see, this object of child class will be able to use the code of all. To use, for example, driving. Although here we do not have any driving code inside the child class, but since child class inheriting the codes of P1, so it will be able to use it. So drives well. I can also child class can also do the, for example, code of this one can reuse the code of this one, and also child class can reuse the code of third party. So this is called nothing but multiple inheritance. One thing that let me explain it again. For example, if inside this method I want to call teaching method, I want to call cooking method, I want to call driving method, I have two ways. The first way is using super keyword. So I can do it like this. For example, super dot driving. So if I read like this, also see, I say teach well, super dot driving child is if I teaching. But let me see. So object child dot sleep. I want to call this method. So inside this method, I have called driving of the parent class. This is also possible if I want to call the method of parent class inside child class. This is one of the way. I have another way also. So using the parent name. So this is belonging to parent number one. So I can do like this also. P1 dot. So I can do like this also. Right. So this is another way. Either you can use super keyword or you can use a P1 or P2 or P3. So like say if I want to call the cooking. So I will write cooking belongs to parent number two. So I will write cooking. See, child cooks well. So inside the sleep class, I have also called the cooking, which belongs to the parent number two. If I want to use this one using super keyword, then it will be different of how we will usually use it. Then it will be like this. Super. Now I have to take P1. I have to take solve and then cooking. So this way of writing code is same as this way. Both of them will work on the same. See. So guys, this was how we can call a method of superclass inside child class. So either we can use super keyword or we can just use the name of parent class and then the name of the method that parent class has. So this was all about inheritance in Python. Thanks for watching.